Hi, I'm Linda Cook.
And I'm Sharon Wren.
And this is our Quad City Crime Watch. And today we're going to look back on some older cases. We're going to tell you how to stay safe from IRS scams. And Sharon has some brand new arrests to tell you about that you just won't believe. So before we go any further, I do want to say what we always say at the beginning. We cannot recommend lawyers to you or anything like that because we're not lawyers.
Nope.
And that would be a conflict of interest anyway. So Sharon, you should take off. You've got some really, really recent stuff here.
Yes, and we're recording this on March 12th, 2026, so everything is current as of right now. A man from Moline is in the Scott County Jail after Davenport police say he talked about sexual acts with an undercover law enforcement account that he thought belonged to a 14-year-old child.
A sting.
A sting is what they call it. The criminal complaint in the case said that starting on June 2nd, 2025, the defendant, who's been identified as 30-year-old Jeffrey Schwanke Jr., began chatting online with a law enforcement undercover cop or account that was posing as an underage child. He believed he was speaking with a 14-year-old. He allegedly spoke about sexually explicit topics, sent nude photos, and talked about committing sexual acts with the person he thought was the 14-year-old. And on June 27th, 2025, he allegedly requested nude photos from the undercover account. He was arrested on March 11th and charged with grooming, a Class D felony, and sexual exploitation of a minor, a Class B felony. He is being held in the Scott County Jail on no bond and has a preliminary hearing on March 19th.
Okay, we will be following that.
Yes, because it's fairly serious if there's no bond.
Yeah, they don't do that with just every crime.
No. You're not going to pick somebody's pocket and have no bail.
No, wow. I have a name here that will be familiar to a lot of people who have been following a very, very sad case from the last few years. 34-year-old Davenport woman over the weekend was arrested and now faces a felony burglary charge after Davenport police say she broke a door off its hinges. This is according to Scott County arrest documents. Aisha Langford faces a second-degree burglary charge and a third-degree criminal mischief charge. That's an aggravated misdemeanor. After an incident on the 6200 block of Western Avenue, shortly after 10:30 p.m. that night, Davenport police responded to this report of a disturbance in progress. And this is directly from the arrest affidavit, what the officers wrote. Langford did knowingly force entry through the secured front door of the above-mentioned address while the residence was occupied by the victim, having no rights, license, or privilege to the residence. She did break the front door off its hinges, causing $1,000 in damages. Affidavit showed that Langford pushed a victim while inside the residence after breaking down the front door, and those actions placed the victim in fear of further physical violence and the possibility of bodily injury. Now, police say that Langford, who admitted she went to the residence, was caught on camera walking to and from the residence during the incident. If that name sounds familiar, Aisha Langford, who is being held in Scott County Jail on $5,000 bond, is the mother of the late Breasia Terrell, who was 10 when she went missing in July of 2020. Just an update, Henry Dinkins is serving life in prison for Breasia's murder, and Dinkins' family continues to maintain his innocence.
Well, I've got another story, and it's along the same lines as the last one, but this one is, the details were pretty bad.
Okay.
Discretion forbids us from sharing them. A man from Davenport is in the Scott County Jail on a $200,000 bond after police arrested him on 26 charges related to child pornography, according to jail records.
Okay.
The criminal complaints filed in the case say detectives with the Davenport Police Department were assigned 2 cyber tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that were made by the X Corporation, which we used to know as Twitter. The reports came in on or about June 20th, 24. The corporation reported 2 accounts for sharing child pornography or child sex abuse materials, CSAM, The defendant, who's been identified as 23-year-old Jaden Garcia, allegedly sent a direct message from his ex account to another user that contained a 24-second video of CSAM. He's accused of sending the video from 2 different accounts under his control on or about March 27, 2024 at about 12:28 a.m. and 12:32 a.m. IP data indicated the videos were sent through the internet from Garcia's residence in Davenport. This is not the first time that somebody has been busted through their IP address. So there's a paper trail, you guys. The complaint said detectives executed a search warrant on Garcia's home on or about August 14th, 2024, and seized multiple electronic devices. He said in a post-Miranda statement that the devices belonged to him and admitted to receiving and viewing child pornography for the purposes of sexual gratification. His electronic devices were forensically downloaded after a search warrant was executed, and officers received copies of the downloads on or about March 2nd of this year. Here's where it gets bad.
Okay.
And this is the cleaned up version.
Okay. This is what you'll see online.
Yes, this is what you'll see online. This was not in the complaint, but y'all don't want to read that. A review of a cell phone showed 99 video files depicting CSAM.
And that is child sexual abuse material. Okay.
In 60 of those videos, roughly 3/4, it is apparent that the minors involved are very, very young children. The complaint said 29 of these CSAM videos depicted minors under the age of 12. A review of another device, a tablet, showed an additional 7 videos with these materials, and 2 of them were listed as iCloud uploads, according to the complaints. There was an arrest warrant was issued for Mr. Garcia on March 10th, and he was taken into custody a few hours later. So once they got that warrant, they didn't goof around.
Okay.
He has been charged with 25 felony counts of purchase, possession of a depiction of a minor in a sex act, first offense, and 1 felony count of sexual exploitation of a minor promoting a film. He's being held in the Scott County Jail on a $200,000 cash-only bond, and also has a preliminary hearing on March 19th. We are following, but
right.
We see a lot of things in criminal complaints, and honest to Pete, this was one of the more disturbing complaints for me to read.
You know, people think that because they may be anonymous behind some kind of a avatar, right, or an email address that's, right, not their normal one. That's not true. And you talked about a paper trail. It really is, yeah, a digital paper trail every time one of these pieces is disseminated. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a lot of these tips come in through them that have led to arrests.
Yes, and people have things they do or don't like about X, but I'll give them this: they're on the ball when they find something inappropriate,
right?
Shall we call it?
Right, absolutely. So this is this is a little bit different kind of crime. This is more of a blue collar thing. But I thought this is a little bit lengthy, but I hope that this helps you stay safe, especially at this time of year. The IRS has announced its annual Dirty Dozen list of tax scams for 2026, and these can threaten tax and financial information of taxpayers, businesses, and of course, tax professionals too. The Dirty Dozen, I did not know this until I read this, is part of a broader campaign conducted through the Security Summit. That's a partnership among the IRS, state tax agencies, and the nation's tax industry. And it's reinforced by outreach efforts on March 5th, which is National Slam the Scam Day.
Oh, I like that.
I do too. I do too. I would love to have a t-shirt. Next year. These initiatives educate taxpayers about identity theft schemes and other forms of fraud. So here we go. The 12 key scams to watch out for.
I feel like we need a drum roll.
I know. IRS impersonation by email and text. So you've heard of phishing. Well, then there's smishing, a fraudulent technique where attackers use text messages to trick individuals into revealing personal information such as passwords, social security numbers, or credit card numbers. Scammers send these emails or direct messages and texts that appear to be from the IRS. And they often use alarming language, or something that would motivate you to respond quickly. You need to verify your account. The IRS urges taxpayers not to click links or open attachment from these unexpected messages and to report these suspicious emails to the IRS.
Oh, phooey. I was getting some, well, they weren't tax scams, but they were government-involved ones, and I just blocked the number. I was getting messages.
That's good, though.
From the administration, from the current administration.
Oh, dear.
Saying you haven't clicked on this link, or here's, the one was, there was a $5,000 check, click here. I'm like, nope.
Good.
Nopey, nope.
Good. So the IRS urges taxpayers not to click links or open the attachments. They reported over 600 social media impersonators during fiscal year 2025. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So if you have any question in your mind, don't click it. Don't. Because that can, even just clicking on this thing can install malware that can do wreak all kinds of havoc on your computer and steal all kinds of personal information. So that's the first one,
Right.
IRS impersonation. Now, this is a little interesting. AI-enabled IRS impersonation by phone. Robocalls, voice mimicry, spoofed caller IDs. Phone scams continue to evolve, as we all know, including calls that use computer-generated tactics and spoofed caller IDs that look legitimate. So the IRS reminds taxpayers that generally the IRS will contact you by mail first. And they do not leave urgent, threatening, pre-recorded messages saying, you have to do this or else. That's not how the IRS
That's the red
operates.
flag.
Correct.
The or else.
Correct, the or else. And you shouldn't rely on AI-generated responses to complete your tax questions, because you never know what that AI really is. Now this one, you and I have both written stories about this. Fake charities. Fraudsters, yes, often use tragedies and disasters to create fake charities to collect donations and personal information. The IRS is committed to preventing fraudulent nonprofits from taking advantage of the American taxpayer. Taxpayers who give money or goods to a charity can claim a deduction, but these donations only count if the charitable is valid and authentic. In other words, qualified and recognized by the IRS.
Right.
So be careful of that too. Misleading tax advice on social media.
You mean everything online? Is it true?
No, just what you and I write. Viral tax hacks, which I love, what a phrase, can push taxpayers to file returns with false information or claim credits they don't qualify for. That can lead to refund delays, audits, penalties, or worse. The IRS continues to warn social media-driven misinformation and disinformation is a major driver of tax scams. The IRS and the Coalition Against Scam and Scheme Threats warns taxpayers not to fall for these scams. Take trusted advice from the IRS, your tax person,
Right.
your professional, and other reputable sources. So another one is identity theft involving IRS online account access. Criminals can use your personal information that they've stolen to gain unauthorized access to your online account, and they may pose as helpers who are helping collect sensitive information. They're not helpers. Don't fall for that. I'm going to go through this here. Sharon, while I look through here, share another one of your stories.
Well,
would
you just mentioned AI a few minutes ago.
I did.
So this isn't a local story, but it's just wild enough to make people think and maybe question.
Yes.
A federal lawsuit filed by life insurance company Nippon claims OpenAI's chatbot acted as a lawyer and convinced a woman to file her human lawyer. Yep. Now, according to the release that we got, Nippon said it settled a long-term disability lawsuit with an Illinois woman about 2 years ago. And I checked, she's not from around here. So.
Okay.
Graciela de la Torre signed a full release, and the case was dismissed with prejudice. which means it can't be refiled, right?
Correct.
However, last year she sought to reopen the case, and her attorney told her no, the settlement is final. She turned to ChatGPT. Nippon claims the chatbot helped Ms. De La Torre draft filings to try to undo her settlement, which she filed pro se, which means without an attorney. And the judge said no.
Oh.
Following the judge's decision, though, Ms. De La Torre filed a new case. This is a quote, flooding the docket with dozens of filings generated with ChatGPT's help. Responding to this has cost Nippon nearly $300,000. Now, obviously, this woman did not hear that Kim Kardashian flunked the California bar exam because she was using ChatGPT to study.
Right.
So, no, don't get legal definitions from AI, please. No legal help.
No,
No.
because it's really just AI.
AI, and yes, it has its uses. It can help summarize things.
Absolutely.
It can't think like a person.
No.
No, so, yeah.
Well, continuing with this.
Part two.
Part 2, abusive undistributed long-term capital gains claims are becoming a nuisance. The IRS identified an increase in the abuse of Form 2439, which allows shareholders of certain investment funds or real estate trusts to claim refundable credit for taxes you paid on those undistributed capital gains.
Right.
But you can be caught using this. Identified schemes involve overstated or fabricated Form 2439 claims. The IRS has also seen fake claims falsely linked to real, well-known organizations. Be careful with that. Again,
Yeah.
if you have questions, you can call the IRS. You can
Right.
call your tax professional.
Right.
And then, kind of along those same lines, are the bogus self-employment tax credit promotions. Scammers use misleading claims about self-employment tax credit to encourage inaccurate filings and generate improper refunds. Rely on trusted sources and qualified tax professionals, not social media promotions, when you're determining eligibility for credits. I like this. I'd never heard this phrase before. Ghost preparers can prepare a return but possibly refuse to sign it or refuse to include a preparer tax identification number.
Oh.
When a preparer refuses to sign or provide a PTIN, that's a major red flag. The taxpayer is legally responsible for what is filed. So the IRS, again, urges taxpayers to avoid preparers who won't sign the return and to choose reputable help. Then there's the non-cash charitable contribution schemes. Inflated appraisals of donated property using syndicated conservation easements or art. Promoters often promise to eliminate or substantially reduce tax liability, but the IRS warns taxpayers not to file returns with made-up information and reminds taxpayers it can hold refunds while they verify your claims.
Well, that's just good information. You shouldn't you shouldn't be giving the government false information.
Anyway.
They know.
They do, or if they don't, they will.
Yes.
Right? Overstated withholding schemes. Scammers encourage taxpayers to inflate withholding amounts. Sometimes that's described as other withholding to manufacture a larger refund. And the IRS may delay processing while they verify your wages and withholdings. So you're just holding up the works and setting yourself up for problems, which, I mean,
Possible legal problems.
exactly. And you can visit this on our website, but the forms involved are listed here. Also, I love this, spear phishing, PHISH, and malware campaigns targeting tax professionals. Deliver malicious links or attachments to steal client data or access systems. The IRS and the Security Summit urge preparers to remain vigilant and strengthen your security practices. You should always be cautious, look out for suspicious requests or unusual behavior before you share any sensitive information or respond to an email.
Right.
And then there's the aggressive or misleading offer in compromise marketing. OIC mills is what this is called. These programs can help certain eligible taxpayers resolve tax debt when they can't pay in full,
Right.
but the OIC mills often promise results and charge high fees to taxpayers who don't qualify. Taxpayers can check eligibility using free IRS tools to avoid high-pressure sales tactics. Google IRS if you have the time, and you will see these lists, lots and lots of details and hints to help you not only stay safe, but also stay accurate in what you're reporting.
Right.
So remember the dirty dozen, it's out there, and the scammers are out there too.
And they're evolving, but you know, they want to stay active in their industry, so they have to
They
evolve like we all
in
do.
ways like this, yeah.
Well, we have another update on an earlier case. A Davenport man was sentenced to 170 months, that's just over 14 years, in federal prison today for possessing ammunition as a felon, according to a news release from the Department of Justice. That was just for having the ammo.
Okay.
Not for, you know,
Guns
allegedly
or, okay.
robbing a bank or allegedly breaking into a house. That was just for the ammo.
Okay.
Public court documents say Diamante Thomas, 27, discharged a firearm 3 times from a vehicle towards 2 people who were entering a Davenport apartment building in October 2023. There were 3 kids in the car.
I remember
with,
this.
With Mr. Thomas when he fired
this.
the gun. Law enforcement collected 3 spent shell casings that he fired from the scene. He is prohibited from having firearms and ammunition because he is a felon, including a 2023 conviction for unlawful possession with intent to deliver cannabis in Rock Island County. So he will be required to serve a 3-year term of supervised release after his prison term, and there is no parole in the federal system. So this one, we've been watching it for a bit. Sometimes they go fast, sometimes they don't.
This one didn't. It
No.
took almost 3 years, but it
we
did
got
conclude,
it.
right?
We got it. But we've got another weird one here, and as I'm flipping through 8 million pages. Okay, this one is another one that's not local, but it affects us locally.
Okay.
It involves Canada geese.
Well, we have Canada
We
geese
have Canada
all over Iowa.
over.
All over
and
Iowa.
in Illinois.
And in Illinois, too.
An 82-year-old man from Ankeny was sentenced on January 26th to a 6-month term of probation for violating the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. Now, according to the court documents and evidence, Joseph Lamb drove his vehicle into a flock of Canada geese on State Street in Ankeny about 6:30 a.m. on June 10th, 2025. He had stopped to let the flock of 9 geese cross in front of his vehicle, and then when they were about halfway across, he accelerated and killed one.
And needless.
Yes, well, he also must pay a $2,000 fine because the Canada goose is a migratory bird protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service maintains a list of birds protected under this act, and you can Google it. Violations of this act are punishable by up to 6 months in prison and a fine of up to $15,000. And a term of supervised release not to last more than a year. Well, it's never a nice thing to kill an animal,
No.
but Canada geese, you gotta watch it. If they're crossing in front of you, stop. When you're in an area where they're known to hang out.
Well, they congregate in certain spots along the roads sometimes.
Yeah, or along the river. I see them a lot along the Mississippi when I'm driving home.
Sure.
And there have been a lot of times when I've had to stop because they're just taking their own sweet time crossing, but you know, they're pedestrians.
And they're protected pedestrians.
They're like people. They're all protected, and we should be careful for them.
That's right. Well, thank you. Yes. I like any animal safety concerns I like to share.
Well, that one, and I didn't even know. I knew it was a bad thing to run them over, as it's a bad thing to run over anything, but I didn't know it was a federal thing.
Migratory birds. I had not realized that.
Now we know a thing.
Thank you, Sharon.
A Davenport man was sentenced to 54 months, that's 4.5 years, in federal prison on March 12th for possessing a firearm as a felon. Now, public court documents showed that Gregory Young III, now 27, pointed a firearm at people while he was at a gas station in Davenport in March 2025. A law enforcement conducted a traffic stop, searched his vehicle, and found 2 loaded firearms in the hood of the vehicle.
Okay.
Which had me going there for a minute. I had to read it a couple times.
Yeah.
The trunk, but the hood.
Okay.
Well, you wouldn't think, well, cops would think to look there, but
Right.
I wouldn't
I
think to
wouldn't.
look there. Now, he has a prior felony conviction, including a 2024 conviction for possession of cocaine, third or subsequent offense from the Iowa District Court for Scott County. He was on probation from that charge at the time when he had
Okay.
the gun thing going on. So after his term in prison, Mr. Young must serve a 3-year term of supervised release, and there is no parole in the court system, federal court system.
Right.
So once again, this is a gentleman who got into trouble because he had something he wasn't supposed to have legally.
Right.
And in the case of the guy we talked about earlier, he got more time for that than he probably would have for the incident.
Right.
So if you're a felon, don't have a gun, please.
No.
They will come after you. Yeah.
And they take it pretty seriously.
Very seriously. That's all the time we have this week for QC Crime Watch. Join us next time for more updates and more on the crimes that keep the Quad Cities locking their doors and hopefully their car doors at night.